Skaboof! Last night, I watched the 2024 Game Awards. Streamed it, had a ton of fun. Go watch the VOD on our plays if you want. You know, as usual, it was a bloated, uneven mess of a show. But, that's always the case, but in this case, there were just a lot of great announcements. Like, it's really that. I mean, like, the quality of the show, it mostly just comes down to, like, whether or not it's worth tuning in. It's just the stuff that they announce. And some years are better than others. Last year was not very good. I would say last year was the weakest Game Awards since Jeff Keighley took over. But this year, the 10th anniversary, they had a lot of stuff. It just happened to be one of those years where there were a lot of publishers ready to share a lot of stuff. A lot of really, really great announcements. Probably the best Game Awards since, I don't know, reveal-wise, probably the best one ever. So that did raise the entertainment value. I still feel like the first couple years of Jeff Keighley's Game Awards, they were really good and they had some heart that's kind of been lost. So I'm not going to necessarily say it's the best one ever. I thought 2015 was really, really good. That's beside the point, though. I'm going to go over highlights, both reveal highlights and just show highlights. Forgive me if I leave off something that you were interested in. They revealed like 100 million billion trailers, so like whatever. I'm just kind of touch on some stuff. One really weird and amazing thing that happened at the Game Awards was just like revealing a bunch of projects from very old series that like haven't had games in a long time. It was really great for that. We got a new Ninja Gaiden announced from Game Kitchen, who did Blasphemous. That's amazing. A new Turok. Okay, sure. Virtua Fighter, Onimusha, like just a lot of real crowd pleasers. And then you want to talk about a surprising new game from an existing franchise. Okami? A new Okami. This was a huge deal. A new Okami. Not only a new Okami, but helmed by Hideki Kamiya himself, working with a new studio by the name of Clovers. Are you kidding me? The impact of such an announcement, it cannot be downplayed. Okami fans everywhere absolutely losing their minds. So that was another great one right there. And there were a lot of really, really good announcements like this. We got the reveal of FromSoft's next game. Ooh, that's fun. I like FromSoft, and I will mention, it is funny, you can see in the VOD, but at the beginning of the trailer, like, the graphics aren't really great. They kind of look like last gen, and I joke, oh, what is this, a FromSoft game? Because I love them, but like they're not on the cutting edge of graphics. But that's one of the reasons their games, they are, it's how they keep their budgets in check. It's a whole thing, but I joked about that, and it was. It did end up being a FromSoft game. And I won't talk about it too much here, because I'm going to do a whole separate video about it. And I also don't know exactly how I feel. It's not just like a traditional one. It's like a co-op roguelite kind of thing, so I'm slightly iffy on it, but there is no denying that at this year's Game Awards, they announced the next FromSoft game. So that's a really big deal. One of the funniest reveals was for a new Sonic racing game, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, and that is exciting on its own, but the way they did it, it looked like it was just going to be like a new Gran Turismo or something, and then it's Shadow the Hedgehog's car. I don't know. It was like the perfect way for them to reveal that. Everyone was like losing their minds. It was so funny. You had some like weird surprises in there. Shadow Labyrinth? I didn't even, I was like half reading chat and I didn't even know what I was watching. But this is apparently like edgy Metroidvania Pac-Man. Okay. All right. Sure. And apparently this is kind of following after the Amazon secret level. They did like a Pac-Man episode, but it was kind of like this. And so like, I don't know, edgy Metroidvania Pac-Man. Okay, sure. The game, it looks a little bit rough. The animation's like a little kind of but I don't know. I'm into the idea. I think that's a fun way to use an old IP. Sure, why not? And then, the big one for me, and once more, I will not go into it because I have you better believe I have a whole other video, but Fumito Ueda, who did Ico, Last Guardian, Shadow of the Colossus, finally revealing his new game. It's a tease. It's really, really early on in development. You can tell there's still a lot more work to do. It's a very tiny tease, and yet, just mind-blowing. Like, I mean, that's the kind of announcement that makes a whole presentation. It makes sitting and staring at this show for 3.5 hours plus, it somehow makes it all worth it. I can't even tell you, I literally can't communicate how excited I am to see even a glimpse of Ueda's next project. It's just ooh. So yeah, there was a lot of fun stuff in there, and there were some other things that were probably a big deal, but I'm a little bit too, I don't know, cynical, a little too critical to care much about. Witcher 3 is a really great game, and I haven't played it like as much as I wanted to, but I always kind of wanted to play it more. But then, like, I don't know, Cyberpunk just kind of killed my opinion of CD Projekt Red. And I know that they've fixed up the game since then, but I don't know, I really don't have much faith in them. And so now for them to reveal Witcher 4, and for Jeff Keighley to even say, you know, this show's not just about revealing things for next year, but even in the next decade of game. Like, they're basically saying, like, look, we spent a bunch of time and money on this beautiful CG cinematic trailer that shows no gameplay at all of this game that you're probably not going to play for who even knows how many years. I find it a little bit difficult to care at all. I don't know, probably a pretty big deal. Maybe it'll be a great game. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I just don't really have faith in them anymore. And then a similar one that's probably a big deal, but I'm just kind of about. It's Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. So it's a new Sony IP. Okay, it's a new IP. I'll give them that. We want to see more new IPs, like absolutely. And this is the new thing from Naughty Dog. Like, this is what they've been working on. But then, like, even that, like, I should be excited about that because, Naughty Dog, very prestigious. But, like, I don't know. Now it's like, so now, like, we won't get Uncharted or Last of Us games anymore. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. They only seem to work on one thing at a time. And so it's just like, are you going to leave all of those old projects, all those old IPs behind? I don't know. I wish I saw more in the trailer that appealed to me, but, I don't know. That's the problem with making games for as wide of an audience as possible I don't know. Yeah, it's a sci-fi game. It's just if you don't like show it off enough, you're not giving me a hook. You're just kind of like, okay, well, it's the studio doing it, and it's a person in a spaceship, sci-fi bounty hunter or something, and then like right at the last second, it was slightly surprising. I expected more like space shooty stuff, but instead it ended up being like Melee down in the mud. You're fighting a monster or something. So I don't know. We really don't know what kind of game it's going to be other than like a third-person action game of some sort. I wish I were more excited about it, but like, I don't know. It's a thing. It's a sci-fi thing. I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. But yeah, I don't know. With all the announcements, there was really kind of something for everyone. No Nintendo. There was no Nintendo. There was no Metroid Prime 4 announcement. It must have gotten. They must have forgot. They must have lost the file for the trailer, so they couldn't play it. That must be it. No, yeah, Nintendo. They really didn't show up like at all. You know, they had some game nominees, but none of them won. Astrobot took everything from them. Curiously enough, though, we didn't really see Xbox either, did we? Like, really, like we expect Nintendo to not be there, but like Xbox, they really, like, even like reveals and stuff, there really weren't any like Xbox games. Everything was either like PlayStation or multiplat, and that's sad. It's kind of sad and weird. Yeah, I don't know. The only Xbox and Nintendo that we saw was in like the commercials, like the ads between the the ads of the main show ads. So yeah, a little bit weird. I don't know. So when you want to talk about the actual game awards themselves, I know that's not important, but we'll talk about it anyway. I want to start by mentioning the most interesting part about this year's winners, which is that I guessed. I actually try to guess who's gonna win, and I normally do very, very, very poorly. I actually guessed more right than wrong this year. I don't know what happened. I don't know why, but I had 17 correct guesses against 13 incorrect. And I just want to pat myself on the back. I don't think I'm ever gonna get a ratio like that ever again. Simply stunning. Anyway, the slightly less interesting thing about the winners is that Astrobot won Game of the Year. Astrobot won Game of the Year. Oh my goodness. It was so, I don't know. It was such a good moment. I should have seen it coming. I really should have seen it coming. I was counting on Wukong. I don't even know much about Black Myth Wukong. I don't know. It was just the game, and it showed up, and it was crazy big, and everyone was all crazy about it. So I kind of thought that would win. But no, I should have seen it. Astrobot, it's such a darling. And when it won, I mean, it won a bunch of awards. It didn't just win Game of the Year, but like, I don't know, it was such a good moment. And seeing the guy from Team Asobi going up there, the acceptance speech, really, just a really lovely moment. It was, I don't know. I know it's a little bit of a controversial pick. You know, I saw plenty of comments just being like, oh no, it should have been something actually good. Whatever. I am so surprised and pleased that the little game that could, the little 3D platformer that could, Astrobot, won Game of the Year. I don't know. It just makes for such a good story. It's a feel-good story. And I also think it's cool that Balatro was nominated for Game of the Year. It's an indie game, and yet it was so good and so popular, so successful, so quickly that it was actually nominated for Game of the Year. I think that is really, really cool. So then other show highlights at the end, Sven Vink, the guy from Larian, he presented the best game, the Game of the Year award, because his game Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year last year. So he got to do a little, which is especially cool because he was, famously was told to wrap up his speech early, and everyone was rightly pretty mad about that. So this time, Jeff, in apology, let him go up there and just spend a good few minutes just kind of talking, just kind of like introducing the Game of the Year award, and like absolutely tore the game industry a new one. Just like had this whole, go watch it if you didn't see it. His speech is amazing. He's basically just saying like all of the games on this list for Game of the Year, as well as all the previous ones and the next ones, they're on this list not because they were these cynical corporate products that treated, employees and gamers as just like spreadsheet data. It's because these were games that came from the heart. They were games that the developers wanted to play themselves. And I don't know, it was just really great. It was really awesome to hear him just absolutely tear into the industry. Felt really nice. That's the kind of moment that the Game Awards have been missing. That's the kind of moment that made me fall in love with the Game Awards back in 2015. Because back then, there were way more of those kinds of like real moments. But then like every single year, it's always been corporate, but every year the show has gotten more and more and more corporate. So Jeff Keighley has been less and less willing to like touch on the more sensitive topics because he doesn't want to make any big companies mad. Oh gosh, even in this time, everyone got mad at him for not acknowledging all of the industry problems and the layoffs and stuff last time. So this time he does, and he talks about the challenges, but then he's like, no, we can argue all day about the reasons why this is happening. Just like, oh, Jeff, you killed it. You killed it. No, we can't argue about why this is happening. There is no argument. There is only one reason why this is happening, and it is clear as day. And by saying what you just said, you really just killed all the goodwill you were trying to build up. But anyway, because Jeff is still so craven I will say it was really awesome to hear Sven Vink just give his little thing. I just loved it. It was a genuinely good moment. Then, of course, we have Flute Guy. I don't remember his real name. I'm really sorry. He's Flute Guy. Everyone calls him Flute Guy. 2 years ago, everybody fell in love with him because he was playing his flute so passionately. Everybody noticed. And so, of course, they gave him a much bigger place in the orchestra last year. And there was this thing where every time the camera pointed at him, he was playing a different instrument. And these instruments were getting progressively bigger. And it was like one of the funniest things I have ever seen in my life. It was amazing. And I thought, I mean, he seems like a really just genuine guy. He's really he's enjoying all of this the publicity. He's enjoying that everyone is enjoying his performances. So I don't know. I thought it's got to just be coincidence, right? Or like, it's got to just be, he wasn't trying to do it for a bit. But this time, this guy's a genius. This This time, he starts with a big instrument. And again, it's popping back to him every few moments, and yet it's always a different instrument, and this time they get smaller, and each time the instrument gets smaller, it gets funnier and funnier and funnier exponentially. At this point, I'm convinced that he has been doing it on purpose, and it's genius. I don't know, is he coordinating with the camera operator or the editor or something? I don't know what it is, but like, what a bit. What an absolutely fantastic bit. It goes all the way down to this tiny little thing that he's blowing, but then he's holding the big giant one again, and then he switches back to it. Just really serious. Just one of the funniest things. I love it. And speaking of funny, I didn't know. I haven't been looking into it, so I don't know if Jeff Keighley announced that there were going to be Muppet cameos again. I don't think so. I haven't heard anything. I feel like everyone was pretty surprised. You know, in the past, we had Animal, we had Pepe, we had Bunsen Honeydew and Beaker. They did a bit with the goose. It was really funny. And this time, Statler and Waldorf. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Easily the best. I still don't know why there are Muppet cameos at every Game Awards. I still don't know why, but I still really appreciate it. But it has never been more perfect than this because it's the Game Awards. We kind of hate the Game Awards. We watch the Game Awards because you never know what's going to happen. You never know what it'll be announced. But like, the show itself is such a mess, and we are highly critical. Let's just say we are highly critical of the Game Awards. So, out of all the Muppets to bring in, you bring in the ones who are famous for heckling, for just mercilessly ridiculing the entire production and the host in particular. It was incredible. I mean, like, whoever wrote these gags, some of them were like a little less funny than the others, but like there were some, like they were making fun of Jeff mercilessly. They were criticizing the runtime and the fact that the show is just nothing but a bunch of ads. Like they gave voice to us, to the viewers, and I don't know. It was just great. In any other scenario, usually they come on, it's a little bit more good-natured, you know, a little more kind-hearted. They make fun of Fozzie, but like, I don't know, we get it. They make fun of The Muppet Show, but The Muppet Show is actually delightful. We get that they have a problem, but like in this case, we really do have problems with the Game Awards, and to hear them voicing that, I think that's great. I think that's really great. I don't know how much input Jeff had on this. I don't know how much he enjoyed this, or maybe he did this because he recognized how cathartic it would be for us. That's kind of what I think. I think he probably just he's like, you know what? I'll just let him do it. I know what this show is. He knows. Jeff knows. He knows who he is and his place in it all. He knows what the show is. So like, let them have this. Bring on Statler and Waldorf to mercilessly make fun of me and the show. Everyone will love it. And you know what? I, especially as a Muppet fan, I really appreciated it. It was without a doubt best Muppet cameo at any Game Awards. It was so good. So that's all the stuff I wanted to talk about. Again, like, it was, you know, based on announcements and even like funny moments and stuff, it was good. It was, yeah, probably the best Game Awards in a while, even if it was still the Game Awards, even if it was still an hour and a half too long, way too long. You really just, every time, it's just your brain, it can't handle It can't handle so many game trailers in a row. You start to just lose touch with reality. But it was a good time. Streaming it was super fun. If you tuned into my stream, many thanks to you. We had a really good time. And that is the end of my video on this topic.